And so today is about building on the commonness that we have, about the interconnectedness that we have, that which Champlain helped to describe even at the earliest meetings, recognizing the humanity, having respect and protocols for where trade would take place. That part of the river is okay, the Innu would support. That other part of the river, well, that's exclusive to our territories, and accords were struck. And there was a rhythm and a pattern to life that was built on understanding what was otherwise the other. And I think we can hearken back and be inspired to those original ideas. So in many respects, we can build on old ideas. We can bring them into a modern context, ideas that have been around since our collective ancestors forged those treaties, where they built alliances. And it was, as was articulated in Hackett Fisher's book, Champlain's Dream, that was in fact the dream that Champlain had at the time, that we would see one another, and we would recognize one another, that we would support one another. It's a dream that was given expression in the fact that of the over 600 First Nations across this country, over half are in the midst of what was forged in the early days in the form of treaties, a relationship forged through treaty making. And it's that treaty making that really gave expression to the vision that Champlain, that he offered up. I always like to cite Treaty Number 3, the best expression of pursuing a shared understanding. You lend to me your son or daughter so I might teach him or her about who I am, and I'll do the same thing. You teach my children about who you are so that we might understand one another. Well, Champlain really was a pioneer in this respect, and thinking of our Governor General today, perhaps I know many suggest that Samuel de Champlain was our very first Governor General in the formation of our country. And I think David Hackett Fisher did a very good job in helping to illuminate us, I think, further to think about those original relationships, about that dream, because we know that the reality became something quite different. The displacement of peoples, destruction and domination became the objectives not only here in North America, but in other parts of the world, in places like the Caribbean. So today is really about, and this effort and conversation, I feel so strongly, is not only the vision of the First Nations ancestors, the Indigenous ancestors of these lands, but all of our ancestors. There was somebody across that discussion table in the original treaty making. It was Champlain who brought a vision that if we begin to unearth it, we can even see the roots of it from France. And the early conversations about the instructions upon which people were sent overseas, people like Samuel de Champlain. So their dreams not of a perfect world. Canada, as Indigenous peoples will often state, is a young country yet. But it is of a better world, a dream of, in fact, a nation that can become great. A dream that is built on notions of Hishuk-Nishstawak, which, underlying that notion of interrelatedness and interconnectedness, come with it a suggestion of a pursuit of respect, even harmony between and amongst each other, but also to seek to harness our collective strength. Treaties were also very economic in nature, and as such, it's about the potential for shared prosperity amongst all of us. I am very excited about what I see in First Nations, in and amongst First Nations communities, and I believe very strong that that this work is something that is very possible, that we can make this vision a reality, but there is also no question that there is a lot of work for us to do. All of you here are people who have dedicated your time to firing and driving change, change that smashes the status quo, and we look forward to continuing and building these partnerships. So if I may conclude where I began, most of what we need is your voice, your networks, your advocacy, your vision for a better future for our peoples and for Canada. So today I'm calling on you to join our call to action, remembering that First Nation citizens should not need charity in their own lands. If we honor and activate the vision of all of our ancestors by working together, we will enable progress and prosperity. And this will replace any need for charity, but rather we will uphold our sacred partnerships. By lending your voice and support, by learning more about our peoples, and by supporting our advocacy, we can together turn the tide push the tipping point to transformation. I believe strongly that this is our time to press forward, to push harder, engage honestly and openly, and have those challenging conversations to ignite the change that's needed right now, today. It's a fight for our children. It's also a fight for our future. It's also about saying that we will not lose another generation. We will think about that young man in Fort Capel. We will remember the legacy left by Shannon Kustachin to not lose another generation. They, especially the young people, they're watching us very closely. They need to see and feel our support so they know that they're not alone, that they don't need to carry the burden of the struggle for a better day for all our peoples, that we are there with every child to make sure that they grow up safe, secure in their communities, and have every chance to succeed in life. We made this country together. We can remake it in that spirit and in the vision and dream that the ancestors have left for us. They said, and we're feeling it now, we all have a stake. We are all treaty partners. We are all treaty people. Now than more than ever, it's our time.